Happy, what do they call this, spring forward day. Lost an hour of sleep, doing this daylight savings time thing. I don't care. I don't care nothing about it. So I've got to go in after this show and I got to change my thumbnail and change my title because I was going to spend a whole lot of time, I'll do it tomorrow, just ragging on these DEMS. Figured it was a slow weekend, so it'd be a good time for me to hammer the DEMS and turn it into a comedy show. But as it happens during the week, something happens on the weekend that preempts all of that. So just in case you guys didn't see it, President Trump spoke or had an interview with Maria Bartiromo today on Fox, which I have for you. So we're going to play that and we'll take a look at it. Not going to try and interrupt too much with that, but I want to show it to you. But before we get to that, a whole lot of stuff has been happening that I want to bring to you. And it just kind of pushed all the crazy Democrat stuff aside. I was going to use that as a catalyst for the video, but a lot of stuff is happening. Right off the bat, President Trump says he will not restore military aid to Ukraine even if a minerals deal is reached. I found this interesting for two reasons. One, what do you mean if a minerals deal is reached? I thought that was going to be pretty much a foregone conclusion. I thought that Zelensky by now has realized that his button is in his hands and he's going to have to come in and kiss the ring very quickly. Otherwise, he may not have much of a country left. Putin is just, as Trump said, pounding Ukraine. Absolutely pounding Ukraine. And at this point, I don't think he has much of a choice but to come over and grovel and, accept the deal. And as you look at this, it says President Trump will not restore military aid to Ukraine even if a minerals deal is reached. Means he may not get a deal. And in that regards, if he doesn't get a deal, he's probably going to lose his country. And I think that's a signaling that the Trump administration is giving to Zelensky. See, you had a deal. You walked away from a deal, and currently there's nothing on the table. And I told you ever since that happened, that deal, it's done. It doesn't exist anymore. Now Trump is going to dictate even stronger terms. When you have somebody on the hook and they're ready to sign the paper and they walk away, that deal that you agreed to is gone. And now you're going to come back to me and ask me for, can we do this? No. Terms have changed. Now I know you absolutely need me. Now I know you're absolutely desperate. And that's a whole different paradigm shift going on right there. When you know the person you're sitting across from the table has no options. There was one guy on MSNBC, and he was talking about how Ukraine did indeed have some cards. They've kept Russia at bay for 3 years. No, they didn't have cards. They were playing with the deck of cards that the United States gave them, and a replenishment of a deck of cards that the United States continued to give Ukraine. And so now that those deck of cards have been taken and they're playing with old, crusty, greasy, finger smudge cards, no, you don't have a deck of cards. You do not have any cards in this. Your country, should Putin want to do something, is toast. You're not in NATO. You're not going to get in NATO. There's nothing for the European Union to do for you. So at this point, you better come begging with your hat. And so I just found that extremely interesting that he put that out there and said, even if a minerals deal is reached, meaning there's nothing concrete about that. And he's giving two messages in there. First message is, we're not helping you. So get that through your head. We're not going to help you. And we're not going to help you, maybe not even going to help you, if you do a deal. So he's telegraphing to Zelensky, you're in a really, really, really bad position. You're going to try and negotiate with me? You don't have a chance. And I don't care what they're saying out on television, and everybody's screaming and saying that, and I've got something to show you where some idiot says that the people from Ukraine are better Americans than Americans. Whatever that means. You'll check that out. You'll see where he actually says that people in the Ukraine are better Americans than Americans are. Good luck with that ideology, especially when, the rest of your country is basically undefended at this point. If Zelensky has no money and his military can't replenish weapons or buy new weapons, your people are extremely vulnerable, and don't count on the rest of the world coming to your aid, especially once Donald Trump has now said, sorry, not sorry. So that I found to be a very interesting story this morning. In addition to that, DOGE continues to show people that we are looking at the biggest corruption ring ever thought about in the United States. When you see this one, after all the other stuff you're going to see, I'm going to do a whole segment tomorrow on Stacey Abrams. So don't miss that. But you're going to, you see this one here, and it's really going to just make you do a facepalm. In addition to the 360-year-old idiots that they're saying, people that they're saying are actually cashing checks, this comes out. DOGE says $312 million in loans. $312 million were given to children during the COVID pandemic. The Small Business Association approved approximately 5,600 loans totaling $312 million for borrowers whose sole registered owner was 11-year-old or younger. Let that sink in. For those of you who are having a hard time getting a mortgage, having a hard time, raising money, maybe getting a HELOC or something for your house, they gave out 5,600 loans, $312 million for companies headed by owners who were 11 years old or younger. These loans distributed in 2020 and 2021 amid the global crisis lack clear documentation regarding their intended use. $312 million in taxpayer money handed to minors through SBA loans. Not a mistake, a complete system failure. 5,600 applications rubber stamped while bureaucrats collected consulting fees for clean audits that missed the massive fraud. It just doesn't end. Like I said, every single day you hit refresh on this stuff, and it's just more and more and more. And you just expect the American people to sit back and take this. Both your Republicans and your Democrats. At this point, they should be screaming and going, no more, shut it down. We don't care if you shut the government down. This is ridiculous. And there's no, what would be the word? They're not even objecting to the veracity of it. Nobody, Republicans or Democrat, have come out and said, oh, that's not true. No, they expect you to see this information and take it. Just shut up and take it. It's too late. The money was 3 and 4 years ago. It's gone. Sorry. And they don't think Americans are looking at this stuff and going, you got to be kidding me. Hardworking Americans who are going out every single day to their jobs, and they come home at night and read that 11-year-olds received $312 million. How much more do they expect the American people to take? Seriously. I don't care about your protests. I don't care about your marches and complaining, trying to divert people's attention. How much more do you expect people to take? Every single day. And this is just a fraction of what I'm going to show you tomorrow about Stacey Abrams. That, in and of itself, should just everybody should just say no more. April 15th doesn't exist. Just another day on the calendar. You guys can just ignore it this year. When you see that tomorrow and all the stuff that's surrounding it, that the media isn't even talking about. The reason why I had to push that story till tomorrow, because I'm still digging. There's still so much to talk about what Stacey Abrams has done. Or rather, they used her to do. One of the things I've talked to Robin about is, I don't think any of these, quote, individuals got $1 billion here and $1 billion. I don't think it's like that. That'd be too easy to trace. I have a wild hypothesis. My hypothesis is, where did all this money go? My hypothesis is, when we start figuring out what exactly happened, I'm wondering how many countries around the world aren't really countries. How many countries out there are merely way stations being propped up by the United States government? I mean, you think there's 244? I forget how many countries there are. Sovereign actual countries that do nothing, that produce nothing, that have no economy, but yet they have a leader and they do stuff and they make... How are these countries even existing? We're seeing what's happening to Ukraine and how it's folding at this point because the United States isn't providing any military support. And they have no means of generating their own income for military support. If we know the minerals in Ukraine are so extensively valuable, why aren't Ukrainians mining those minerals? Have you thought that? Why aren't you guys digging up your own minerals and selling it on the market? Maybe because you don't really own it now. How are we going to go in to a country way over there and say, we want your mineral rights, when you're not using them to protect your own people? If they're worth so much, why are you not using your minerals? Doesn't make sense to me. We found out within 3 or 4 days that the EU can't protect Ukraine. They don't have any money. Just spin a globe and hit a country and go, what does this country do? How does this country have any money? I mean, I bet you if you start really digging into some of these countries, a lot of them are like Haiti, but except they get billions of dollars from the United States to pretend as though they have governments. Now, I hope the guys in the black helicopters don't come swooping down. But again, start doing your research. Start seeing how many of these countries are self-sufficient. And what are they selling to various nations? My dad was from Jamaica. I've gone to Jamaica 1,000 times. And I couldn't tell you, other than tourism and bauxite, whoever uses bauxite, what the hell does Jamaica sell? What's Jamaica have the bauxite and aluminum or whatever that it can't sustain an entire country? And then just start going around in these little countries and saying, how are they even surviving? And so when I see the amount of money that has been stolen from the American people for seemingly decades, how many of these countries exist solely because our CIA or our government are propping them up to use them as basically territories? And you could think to yourself, different countries you've been to. Other than tourism, what do they do? I don't know. We're seeing Canada about to fall, and we know Canada has some industry. They may borrow it from us and then try to tariff it back. They sell produce and trees and cars, and the same thing with Mexico. But what do these other countries have? When's the last time you bought something from Lithuania? When's the last time you bought something or did any sort of business or trade with, Botswana? How are these countries even sustaining themselves if we're seeing the bigger countries completely freaking out? I haven't known anybody who imports anything from Uganda. I haven't seen anybody who imports anything from Latvia. I haven't seen anybody really do any transactional business in Sweden. What do you got? And I'm hoping some of you are thinking this right now, going, yeah, what do they have? What do these countries do to generate income? Obviously, you can look at China, you can look at Russia, but okay, here's a country, Liechtenstein. Well, it's about this big. It's its own country. What does it do for money? I don't know, but it's worth starting to look into. Can any of these countries around the world sustain themselves if the United States isn't sending billions of dollars of your money? Because none of this makes sense. I know Stacey Abrams, as much as that may have filtered through her, she's not a billionaire. So most of these people who run these NGOs, the people running them, they're not gazillionaires. They are pass-throughs. And that money comes in and it goes poof out this way. And then they're hearing numbers like there may be anywhere from 800,000 to 1 million NGOs. What in the hell is all those, and are all those NGOs? What do you need 1 million of them facilitating cash going to different things? There's not enough bigwigs to make that rich. It drives me crazy thinking about it at this point. Somebody says Sweden's got IKEA. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of people buying IKEA. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's a damn Liechtenstein, a good one. Yeah, they got some tourism. People can go skiing and stuff. But other than that, what are people doing in Liechtenstein? When they get up in the morning and go to work, what are they making? Sausages? Cocoa? I don't know. How can you be a sovereign country if you have nothing to produce, nothing to trade? And I could be way off it. Maybe some of these other countries have tons of stuff to trade, but Liechtenstein's GDP last year was $7.5 billion. The whole country. The whole country. So that should tell you. It should tell you right there. When you're seeing us sending over hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, we could fund the entirety of Liechtenstein for a year. Just for, 7.5. It's crazy. It's actually very, very interesting observations. How many countries are propped up by the USA funding them from American taxpayers? That's where people are going to have to start looking, because it's a big world. And some of these countries are strategic. And notice some of them, you'll never hear from them. They don't do anything wrong. They just do what they do. You probably even heard the word Liechtenstein since the Olympics. What do? Latvia. What's Latvia make? I don't know. But I know there's NGOs putting money there. And it may not be the entirety of their budget. They're like, hey, listen, this year we'll be good with, if we can get 900 mil, we're all right. And then you control that country. They're never going to say anything bad about the America or the American dollar. They're just going to shut up and be over here, and nobody talks about them. And you just scroll a map. Okay, what's that? What's this country do? I mean, a lot of tiny countries all over the world, and we got million NGOs. The Baltic states, exactly. Liechtenstein is a tax haven. Yeah, you never hear anybody invading Liechtenstein or Switzerland, do you? You know why? Because that's where they keep the money. You never hear. I mean, when Adolf was making his walks, he went through all the different countries, Germany, and he went to London, and he took a left turn around Switzerland. No. Let's just go around Switzerland. Let's not mess with that. That's where the money is. Lots of money coming out of your pocket, funding somebody, and nobody can seem to explain where this money is going. Just something to think about. I'm not even trying to be a conspiracy theory. I'm just watching countries like Canada. who have always supposedly been a big, dominant country, looking like it's about to fall simply because we put tariffs on. Justin Trudeau out there crying. Government doesn't seem to know what they're doing. What are you freaking out about these tariffs for? Why are you doing that? And then, China put 100% tariff on Canada. So it's almost like there's a trade war between the United States and China about who's going to divvy up Canada. Canada can't even fight. How can Canada not really have a strong army, military? Mexico's military. How long would Mexico's military last in a war? Nah, not long. It would need us. So we're taking care of all these countries. Or rather, you are. And I am. We're the ones who are taking care of all these countries. Wow, there are 1.5 million NGOs. What? 1.5 million? That's crazy. What? How can there be that many NGOs with donations? And where's the money go? Does anyone notice that Switzerland is one of the richest countries and is always neutral in all ways? Nobody's going to mess with Switzerland. You can, Putin, even the Ayatollah Assahola, hey, not Switzerland, okay? We're not going to mess with Switzerland. Really? You're not trying to do a caliphate up into Switzerland in nice Alps? You're not looking to do anything with Switzerland? Can't mess with that. It's a big old little country here that nobody wants to mess with because that's where the money is. At least Mexico hasn't been run over by those guys. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a little black speck between my teeth. My teeth is little black speck between my teeth. Was I eating a grape and or was that my teeth? Hold on. Let me look. That was a grape seed. Sometimes when you sit there, thank you very much. See, we have that kind of audience that feels comfortable saying, hey man, there's something between your teeth. Took care of it. Done. Gone. Good smile. Swiss accounts over there. Absolutely. Cayman, that's another one. Cayman Islands. Wow. You're exactly right. The Cayman Islands is an area that never gets mentioned. Ever been to the Cayman Islands, by the way? You should take a trip there, a vacation. It's very, very nice. Very, very nice area. You don't see a whole bunch of, what would we call them? The migrants. Nope, didn't make it to the Caymans. They all came here. The Venezuelans came here. The Tres Leches came here. And they stormed the beaches in Spain and all over Europe. But you don't see a whole bunch of migrants in Switzerland. How come? Why are there no migrants in Caymans or Switzerland or the Bahamas or Bermuda? Nice places too as well. Scuba diving. 195 countries and 94 divided by 1.4 million by your 1.5 million comes out to 7,700 NGOs per country. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Is my zipper up? You actually want to know the answer to that question? For me to answer that question, I would have to be working under your assumption. And you made a big assumption. Your assumption is that I have pants on. Yeah. We'd have to do a lottery on that one. And we'd have to have one of those big reveals. Is Barry wearing pants right now? Let's go ahead and find out. All right, so anyway, that's one of the things I've been thinking lately is how, if I'm watching other countries struggle, who are supposedly a power country, the G7s, who should be completely fine, how can these other countries even be existing? And that's when I thought there's so much money, so hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's not going to Fred or Julie. They're not. Stacey Abrams ain't a billionaire. So where's that money going? It makes you think. I hope that makes you think. The next thing I want to talk about before I get to Trump's interview, there's something going on at the FBI. Now, I've talked to you guys many times about the MAGA Confederates and people who are, all over Pam Bondi, all over Kash Patel. There's something going on. I can't tell you what. Maybe, and Dan Bongino ain't going to tell us either, but there's something going on. You heard last week where there was a rumor, unconfirmed, that Kash Patel no longer wanted FBI agents doing his protection, that he had to find some other way of protection. Then this came out, and it says, Democrats are freaking out that FBI Director Kash Patel has a direct line to President Trump. They insist he should have to relay any messages to the president through Attorney General Pam Bondi. FBI Director gets direct line to the president. FBI Director has ordered direct phone lines from his home and office to President Trump. Democrats insist that Patel should have to relay any message through Attorney General Pam Bondi and avoid any direct contact with the president. So now you got to put your thinking hats on. Get them adjusted. Make sure they fit. And you should say to yourself, why would the FBI director and the president have direct communication? And it's not going through Pam Bondi, it's going directly to President Trump. And the second question would be, why would he need private security? Seems like a no-brainer. FBI is the best of the best of the best, right? Why does he need a private group of people protecting him? Third question, why would the director of FBI need protection? He figured, he's at the FBI and he's surrounded by these guys. I guess when he goes home, something weird's going on. Don't know what, but if this guy's life's in danger, then of course you want him to have a direct line to the president. He's not doing it to go around or usurp Pam Bondi's control or her influence or her office. Something tells me at this point, when you see something like that, Kash Patel is his own dude. As we know, the hierarchy is Department of Justice, and under the Department of Justice is the FBI. It sounds like what President Trump has now done is says, I understand the hierarchy according to on paper, but as far as I'm concerned, you're every bit as important as a cabinet member. I want you to be able to talk to me directly because I'm calling the shots here. I am the president and I want you talking to me. I don't want you to have to go through buffers. If you got something that I need to hear about, then by all means, contact me. And then the last question you ask yourself is, why do the Democrats have a problem with that? Why would you possibly have a problem with the President of the United States having a direct line to the director of the FBI? Well, we need to have them separate because, we don't want any illusion of there being any control of the FBI by the presidency. Oh, there's no illusion. He is. I mean, let's just stop that right now. If you think that there's any separation there, well, that's where you're wrong. He is going to be part of the cabinet per se. And you're going to have to deal with it because this guy, the entire time, and the reason why he was brought in was to specifically have a direct line to the president. Now, if Dan Bongino had a direct line as a deputy director, maybe you'd have some issue. But the director, I want him picking up the phone and calling President Trump at 3 a.m. Pretty sure you would too. Pretty sure none of you guys have a problem with that. There, if you don't know, stop and focus on Sweden. I don't want to talk about Sweden anymore. Oh man, law and order president. Yeah, somebody wrote here. It's Jeff. How you doing? It's the threats from within. Oh, did I put the wrong button? Why is this not working for me? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I know why. I was clicking the wrong button. Back to this one. I should have been putting it up like this way. Yeah, it's the threats from within. We got some concerns that we have to address. And one of those concerns is that, I don't know if you saw today, they found another person who got within close proximity into Congress with a gun. Then today, they actually had to shoot somebody. Even though President Trump's down here in Palm Beach, there was somebody up on the White House grounds that the Secret Service actually had to shoot. This isn't going to get any easier. At this point, you know that Trump is getting closer and closer and closer. And he's over that target. And all the people around him are over that target as well. There is something here, and this is what I'm going to address right now. Glenn, people have to go to prison or nothing changes. All right, so let me jump ahead with that right now, because that may be important for us to discuss. Those of you guys know that late last week, after she missed the deadline with the whole thing about the Epstein files, even I said it was a big fail. I still consider it a big fail because you announced it and you didn't follow through. That was the big fail. I did not say she's a failure as a attorney general, as some of the MAGA Confederates are saying. Because one of the things I've noticed, and even from the point of what Glenn here says, people have to go to prison or nothing changes. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want to see this in a chat. Do you know how many arrests in the last 2 weeks, major arrests, that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have effected? Because a lot of people are under that notion, nothing's happening. She's not doing anything. Kash Patel, he's been on the job. He's not doing anything. And I'm wondering how many of you actually know how many arrests have actually been made. And the answer to that question, I'll show you some of them, is that you should amend your statement. And what your statement should say is, none of the arrests that they have made actually mean anything to me. Because they've been busy. They've been really, really busy, and they've been busy under the auspices of what President Trump has told her to do. I played a video for you last week where President Trump said, I have my priorities. Pam Bondi said, the president's priorities. So whatever those priorities are, again, I'm thinking about being in that war room and whatever chart he has and how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that. And are you watching the dominoes? Are you watching everything that's happening, or are you only looking at the Epstein list? Because a lot of the people online are trying to tell you, focus just here. Just look at the Epstein list. If we don't have the Epstein list, nothing else matters, which ain't true. I've seen over the last couple of days, in addition to the arrest I'm going to show you, I'm going to tell you, as you may know, how many people are taking the exit ramp. How many people in the DOJ and how many people at the FBI are just, we're out. And what's happening? Have you followed what's going on with Kristi Noem at Homeland Security and how they're making these people take lie detector tests to get rid of them? There's a whole lot happening, but because the media doesn't talk about it, you're not going to know. Because a lot of the people out there that do what I do don't talk about it either. It's like Epstein. And I'm like, you're not seeing over here. You're not giving them props for what's going on over here. So let's talk a little bit about this. Breathe and see if, again, imagine you're in an office and Cash, I'd like to have a report from you. You're Donald Trump. Give me a report. And understand, I have priorities, which I have told you what those priorities are. And you got this big board. You ever see those shows where they say, here's the mafia kingpin, and they're going to take down the capo, and they're doing this, and they're doing this, and then they're working their way up to the big guy? That's what's happening. From Kash Patel himself. Breaking. As President Trump just announced, I can report that tonight the FBI, DOJ, and CIA have extradited one of the terrorists responsible for the murder of the 13 American soldiers at Abbey during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. One step closer to justice for these American heroes and their families. This was on March 4th. Now, if you look at the calendar, and if you have one next to you, this is why this is important. March 4th was Tuesday, a couple days after the whole Epstein thing didn't happen. And so they announced, hey, listen, we got this guy, and this guy was a priority target that we were trying to find. But it's not Epstein. Yeah, I know it's not Epstein, but he's a priority target that Trump wanted to take down. And during this period of time, from like, what day was it? That Friday when she didn't get any information to the time that this was posted, 3 or 4 days, and nobody had heard from her, and nobody knew what she was doing. Well, I don't know how many of you have seen this, but on the plane, when that guy got taken in, and I told you I saw this when Sebastian Gorka was talking, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I tap Robin on the shoulder. I'm like, that's Pam Bondi. This is the woman who's not doing anything. You know, yesterday she came out and said, you know, I've got all the tapes, I'm going to get more, and if it's not here by 8 a.m., then, you know, hell, there's going to be hell to pay, and then she didn't respond. Well, she didn't respond because she was grabbing a terrorist. There's her, right there. Guess who's sitting right next to her? Kash Patel. After POTUS finished his remarks last night, Kash, Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, and I traveled to deliver on one of his promises. Our top terrorist involving murdering our 13 American soldiers in the botched Afghanistan withdrawal is now officially on U.S. soil. Under President Trump's leadership, we will never forget the 13 American heroes at Abbey Gate. And if you notice the time here, this is the 5th at 9:37 a.m. The night prior, she was flying from Pakistan and bringing this guy in. Did you know that? I mean, seriously, be honest. Did you know it? And you can see the different faces here. There's 2 pictures. This is her and Kash, and that's John Ratcliffe. And there's Ratcliffe's head up there. And this is Pam Bondi. You can just see her nose. There's Kash Patel, and that's Tulsi Gabbard right there. And obviously, they're on the plane with the bad guy. So when all of us, including me, were like, hey, you missed the deadline, it's a big fail, and you got nothing to say, well, they were in operational silence. They couldn't talk. They're someplace else out of the country looking to take down a bad guy, which hardly anybody talked about. I mean, people talked about the guy possibly getting arrested, but you didn't. Did you hear people talking that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel were on the plane out of the country? You can let me know if you did. I'd love to know. Yeah, I didn't know until you told us the other day. And I only knew because I heard Sebastian Gorka saying on Jesse Waters' show. I'm like, wait, what did he just say? He goes, Pam and Kash and I were over in Pakistan and we went and got this dirt bag. I'm like, whoa, back up. What day was that? Oh, so that was the day when nobody heard from either one of them. And we're like, what are they doing? They're not saying anything. They're all quiet. You told us this, and now we can't even hear from you? Yeah, because I'm over in Pakistan picking up Mr. Dirtbag here. but she's not doing anything, right? Yeah. Yeah, taking care of business for Americans. Absolutely. All right, so let's continue with wondering, what was she doing after that? Okay, this is that full picture that I just showed you. There's Pam. Her nose was in the picture. That's Ratcliffe, Cash, Tulsi. Don't know who this guy is, but this one says Tulsi Gabbard posted. Last night, I joined Cash, Pam, Ratcliffe at Dulles for delivery of an ISIS terrorist responsible for the murder. And so what you're seeing is they were all huddled together and had an operational plan that they were working on. Obviously, super top secret. Fox News didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. None of the other YouTubers knew about it because none of our business. We got an operational thing that we're working on that's ultra top secret. Bringing in a bad guy. Nope, nobody told you about that, did they? Right, okay. So now I want to address a couple things. This is, let me go to a different screen here so you guys can see better. And this, I started digging myself and going, have they done anything? Well, they're posting stuff, but the media is not covering it. This is the Department of Justice press release page. All you got to do is go here, and you can start seeing some things. This is their formal press release page. Boom. Former refugee pleads guilty and admits to supporting ISIS. March 7th. Boom. Department of State employee charged, meaning arrested, for conspiracy to gather, transmit, or lose national defense information. Last Friday. Boom. Employee at multinational DVD company charged with stealing, selling pre-release commercial DVDs for Blockbuster Films. Not a big deal to you, but there's probably a reason that they're doing it. This was on Thursday. Next thing. Active duty, I reported on this, active duty and former U.S. Army soldiers arrested for theft of government property and bribery scheme. This was on the 6th as well, and this was the one that talked about betrayal of the United States government. I think there's one more here. Justice Department charges 12 Chinese contract hackers and law enforcement officers in global computer intrusion campaigns. And this was on Wednesday, March 5th. But I thought Kash Patel and Pam Bondi weren't doing anything. Well, you were wrong. And I was wrong. We just haven't been seeing it. Nobody's reporting it. Well, Barry, those are just traitors and terrorists. It's not Jeffrey Epstein. He's dead. But she's doing stuff. So when I said earlier about the guy needed to amend his statement, he should have said no arrests are happening that I care about. Because the arrests are happening. And so you're seeing the quality of these arrests, and 2 of them are for treasonous activities. I'm pretty sure treason is a priority above Epstein. You see, whatever data they have on Epstein, it ain't going anywhere. And Epstein and the woman that's in jail, they aren't involved in any current trafficking schemes because he's dead, supposedly, and she's in jail, supposedly. And so I guess at this point, you have to just wonder, what's a priority? Who is determining a priority? Because I can tell you who's determining the priority. And this is what may make some people mad, is because it's President Trump. She said it and he said. The work that Pam Bondi is doing right now is based on the things that I've determined to be a priority. So if there's anyone to blame, it's not Kash, and it's definitely not Pam. President Trump has set the priority. And that's just how it is. And this is very easy to look at. All you have to do is go to the news site on the Department of Justice website. And you can see all the different things that they're working on right now, imminently. I mean, one got posted here. Those are sentencing, so those things happen beforehand. But you can easily see it. Why are people surprised? Because no one's talking about it. They like the juicy one that everyone wants to see, but there's a lot going on we don't know about. And that's just the stuff they've disclosed. That's the stuff they've disclosed after they've put people in handcuffs. But the media's not going to tell you, so you're going to have to start doing your own due diligence. I thought if I told Robin, I might have to start putting together a tracker so we can see like all the things that actually get done, because the media is not going to talk about it. And obviously at this point, most of the people online aren't going to discuss it either. It doesn't feel meaty to them. Let's see, who is screaming for the Epstein files? Do you know about Robert Maxwell? Yeah, yes, I do, absolutely. That does not make me mad that the president is in charge, because he is, absolutely, right. Yeah, don't be afraid to jump in the rabbit hole yourself. But Barry, there are thousands of agents these governments could be arrested for the problem with illegals. Well, I mean, in any event, she's taking her walking instructions from him. Kash Patel, now you know, has a direct line to him. He's taking his walking papers from him. So if you're not seeing certain things that you want to see happen, well, one, they may be still working on them, and number two, he's in charge. And at this point, since he's in charge and he's the one who's calling the shots, at this point we cannot as a group blame her. That's what I'm getting at. Same thing, it's sort of like when people talk about crypto, and in the comments, people are like, "I don't trust crypto. Oh man, I'm not going to get in that. That's crazy. That's it." But you voted for the guy that you said you wanted to lead, and this is what he wants to do. I'm going to get into the crypto. Let me just put that down, because there's something about crypto I want to tell you about before I forget that after his speech. All right, so let's see here. The lamestream media is part of the swamp. They absolutely are. And the thing is, like Lynn says here, patience is a virtue. You don't even need the patience. You just need to know where to go to look. If you really care and say, hey, what are these guys doing? You may not hear me say it. You may not hear other people say it, but you can look it up yourself. Go ahead and bookmark it. Let me check this morning. What have they said they've done? Let me see a progress report. Thank you. I don't have to wait for Fox. I don't have to wait for CNN. I can go right to the source and look this stuff up. Let me show that again, because that way you guys can see it. This is oops, wrong window. This is the page. It's right on the Department of Justice website. Let me go here and just show you the whole way. That's the page right there. Excuse me, I gotta let my dog out. So anyway, that's the actual page for the Department of Justice. And you can go ahead and bookmark that on your own and just check this on a daily basis, every couple days, and you can see for yourself what exactly is going on. You can even put in a keyword search and a date search, but here's everything that they've posted thus far. You see that one? You see this one? March 7th, man sentenced for doing that. So something's going on. This was a big one that just happened. DOJ, HHS, and Department of Education announced initial cancellation of grants and contracts to Columbia University worth $400 million. Because of all the crazy stuff that they've been doing, President Trump told her, cut it off. Cut the money. $400 million off. Columbia, sorry. You want to go ahead and protest? Do it without the money. Can't have it. And so, why is that a big thing to him? Well, obviously DOGE found out how much money was going, and it's a message to every single one of these schools, every single one of these organizations. We're looking, we're hoping you give us a reason to pull the funding. So at this point, when DOGE finds something, hey, we're giving Columbia $400 million to spit in our face. You're like, cut it. Got it. And be absolutely done with it. Let's see here. Priority. Where are the children? The children, yes, they are a priority. Maybe that's what Tom Homan's supposed to be working on. Don't really know. He talks about that quite a bit. It probably needs a lot more investigatory work, but my response is just that things are happening. I can't explain it. I don't know what's on their desk, what they're working on, but all I know is he said, I want her working on my priorities. And maybe at this point he hasn't, or maybe he has, but that's a clandestine type thing. Remember, that's got a lot of tentacles in order to bring people down there. Let's see here. And that's all with that. Before I get to the interview. All right, so I'll close with a couple things. Let me just check this, close this, Windows. All right, so you just saw Colombia get hit hard, $400 million get lost, right? Professor of law at UCLA has called for the military to stage an insurrection against the Trump administration. UCLA received over $500 million federal dollars last year. At this point, my only hope for the U.S. to avoid becoming an ally to Russia is a violent resistance by our military. Tragic to say that because the military are trained to avoid any political motivated intervention, firing all the joint staff, chief of staff military leaders and replacing them with military acolytes of Trump anticipated the possibility and acted swiftly, that type of blah, 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 blah. And this person is a professor of law at UCLA. So now, did they give President Trump reason to pull $500 million? Obviously, he didn't see what happened at Colombia, because otherwise maybe you might have been running your jaw. So look for $500 million to come off the board, probably in the next week or so, if they can pull it from them, because Colombia just FA'd and FO'd, and now they're about to do the same thing to them. So watch that. And again, people will tell you, oh, well, nobody's doing anything. Whatever his priority is, that's what he's doing. All right, so talking a lot more about his priorities, let me get to this interview that he did this morning with Maria Bartiromo. I'll talk to you in between here.
We've had a great almost 6 weeks now. And I hope we can continue to go like that. We're at a very rapid pace. We have to make up for a lot of lost time. And the country was very poorly run for 4 years, and you know better than anybody. Nobody covered it better than you, frankly. It's an honor to be with so many great people. We have really great people working with us.
You said
enterprise carries the day, not the government. And I want a strong country militarily. We need that nowadays. You can see that probably better than ever before. So I rebuilt our military. A lot of it was given away to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but a very small portion, in all fairness. But when you think about the billions and billions of dollars that was just handed over, but I rebuilt it. We're going to be rebuilding it again because we need that. We always need that. But we're doing a series of incentives, tax incentives and other things. The tax bill, I think, is going to be very important. The Democrats will fight us all the way. One thing I learned the other night, again, I could say, because it's my fifth such speech. And at the beginning, I said, I didn't know it was going to be as pertinent as it turned out to be, that no matter what I do, this group of people in front of us, I could come up with the cure to the worst disease that the world has ever seen. I gave other examples. I said, no matter what I do, they're going to sit there angry, insolent. You just see it. I mean, you see it, you can feel it. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter who it is, they won't stand, they won't applaud, they won't clap. They'll just sit there with sour faces. And that's what they did. And, you know, it was interesting. I said, I wonder if I should put this in, but it worked out to be true. And I think by putting it in, I showed that it was true. And it's sad, because we're doing great things in this country. This country's really got a chance to be pretty quickly great again. I think I think the country has got a big light over it right now, and I've been told this by even other foreign leaders. We had Modi, we had everywhere. We had from France to India to about 12 that want to come in. They all want to be here. Every one of them wants to be here. We had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom who was here, and he couldn't believe. He said the difference in terms of the feeling about the United States is very different. It feels that we're back, we're respected again. We are respected again, and in a way we're back, and it's only been a few weeks.
And you spoke to the president of Mexico today. I want to talk about tariffs because even as you're seeing this optimism and excitement, there's some nervousness over your tariffs. Markets have been selling off. People are not sure how to view it. Why did you roll back or put a pause into some of the tariffs until April 2nd?
Because I wanted to help Mexico and Canada to a certain extent. We're a big, big country, and they do a lot of their business with us, whereas in our case, it's much less significant. We do very little with Canada by comparison. And I wanted to help the American car makers until April 2nd. April 2nd, it becomes all reciprocal. What they charge us, we charge them. It's a big deal, but what they charge us, we charge them. But this is short term, and I felt that for the good of the American car makers and the MCA, you know, the USMCA, it's Mexico, Canada. I thought it would be a fair thing to do, and so I gave them a little bit of a break for this short period of time.
But I asked you about this before, and I know you told me when I asked you, I said, you did use MCA, you put this together.
Yeah.
And yet then you come back and you change it up with these tariffs, and you said to me at that time, I did it because I can. I put an amendment in there, and I said in 6 years I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well, I think so. But, you know, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. And, you know, I don't know if it's predictability. I think
so that's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. You know, it sounds good to say. But for years, the globalists, the big globalists, have been ripping off the United States. They've been taking money away from the United States. And all we're doing is getting some of it back. And we're going to treat our country fairly. This country has been ripped off from every nation in the world, every company outside in the world. We've been ripped off at levels never seen before. And all we're going to do is get it back. We're going to get a lot of it back. We're not going to let people take advantage of us anymore. You know, we're the United States. I believe that if Kamala had won, meaning that whole ideology, Kamala and Biden and Obama, that whole group of people, if they had won, I don't think we would have had a country any longer. I think this was the most, somebody said it the other day, the most consequential election in 129 years. If they would have won, I don't think we would have had a country. Not only did we won every swing state. Remember, I was watching your show just before the election. You were talking about, I think he's going to win 4 or 5. We won all 7. And we won the popular vote by millions of votes. We won the number of counties by 2,500 to 500, you know, 2,750 to 500. And it's amazing. The map is all red.
Which is why I was surprised at the Democrats' behavior the other night, because you delivered among the most diverse, expanded audience, Republicans, Democrats, independents.
Yeah.
So is it just the Democrat leadership that does not see that?
Now, one thing I wanted to jump in, that previous segment, you're going to see all over television, you're going to see it all over YouTube, when she asked him about providing clarity to CEOs about the tariffs. And people are putting it all over the place. See, he doesn't even know what he's doing. He keeps talking about you might feel some pain and you'll see some clarity. And that's not what he said. What he said, how can I say this? When you're working with a tariff, you're looking to, and you're monitoring, how's it working? What is the other country doing? Are they going to support it? How are they going to react? The tariff in and of itself, I posted a video earlier today. A tariff in and of itself is sort of like tweaking. I want to see what you do when I drop this tariff on you. The idea of the tariff in and of itself is volatile. So if I put a 25% tariff on you and you put a 25% tariff on me, and we keep having this reciprocity and we play this game, it is designed to do just that. It is designed to basically, I don't know, make you to submit. Again, the same thing he did with Zelensky, and this is what people here have a problem. He is trying to make you say, uncle, I'm going to bend your arm behind your back. I'm going to cause the pain until you say enough is enough. Because for years, you've had your way with America. And so right now, I don't know how much pressure to apply. I don't want to break you. I don't want to break your arm. I mean, many of you have watched MMA. When some of these people get in some of these holds, if they wanted to, if you don't tap out, they could snap your arm. They could snap your leg. I want to know, what amount of pressure do I need to put on that arm bar? How much do I need to put on for you to finally go, that's it, I'm done, whatever you want. And that's the best analogy I could give you in regards to that, is because that's exactly what it is. Break it down to its most seminal moment, its most seminal granular idea. I don't want to have to break your arm, Trudeau. I will. And that scares people. Well, he's doing all this bad stuff to Trudeau in Mexico. I'll break it. I don't have to. Once I put enough pressure and you tap out, then I know that's where it is. And then the markets will settle down. You see, right now the markets, and you know, I don't know where you are in buying stock or anything, but you can tell what the market's doing. Many of the people who are globalists in nature are selling. Sell. It's crazy right now. We don't know what's going, because you don't know how far he's going to go. And he can't answer that question. You know why he can't answer that question? Because he doesn't know. And then people are like, well, what do you mean he doesn't know? I don't know how much pressure I have to apply on you until you say, uncle, I'm done. Sorry. You win. That's why they call them trade wars. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. We're not just out here playing different kind of games. I'm trying to get to that point. It is it's hard to get there. I'm just going to keep turning, and there, we're right here. Now you're ready to give? Yeah. And then the markets will settle because everybody will know the result. Right now, nobody knows the result. Oh, he's out there doing stuff. It's crazy. And the other country's like, oh, we're never going to go in and we're never going to submit and we're not going to do this and we're going to hit you harder. Many of you have been in fights. There's a point where the person's fighting against you, and then there's a point where they go, well, one of you, either them or you, will go, that's it, I'm done. And then it'll settle down. Then everything settles down. But they don't tell you that. They let you think Trump's out there just being a madman. He's a sociopath. He's crazy. No, he can't answer because he doesn't know the answer. If he knew the answer, he would just go directly to that. Oh, dial it to 8. That's about all the pain they're going to be able to take. If I go to 9, I might kill them. If I put to 7, they might not go to it. If I put it at 8, they're going to wave the white flag. So he's trying to find out, both in Mexico and in Canada, where do I have to go for them to do what I want to do? Zelensky just felt it. Oh, get out. You haven't felt enough pain. You're still feeling squirrely. Oh, okay. Now I know what I need to do. I need to up it on you. Let me turn it to 9. How you feeling now, Zelensky? Oh my God, that's what's happening. So as you're looking at a guy who's literally playing, running his own little global torture chamber, I gotta find out where your pain point is. And some of you guys know your own pain points. If somebody bent your arm behind your back, how long before you'd have to go, I'm done, man. I'm done. That's what's happening.
There's something wrong with them. It's just something, I can't even believe it. They lost an election in a landslide. They were talking about men playing in women's sports. When I looked the other night, I made a speech. I said, I want to make a speech. 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 I want to the Republicans were going wild, and the Democrats were having their little signs up, their little signs, their little tiny signs. And I said, it's unbelievable. They don't get it. They don't get it now. And I think they're going to end up being a minor party if they keep going like this, because people don't want to hear about these stupid ideas that they have. Transgender for everybody. And again, the men and women's sports, what is that, a 90 to 10 deal? I don't even know who the 10 would be. But they're fighting for it. And I try and say to myself, because you always like to understand where your opponent is, whether it's in business or anything else, is there something I don't understand? But we don't understand it.
What he just said there was a perfect example, 90-10, 80-20, pain point. The Democrats today, waved the white flag on the trans stuff. I don't know if you saw it, but a new narrative decided to appear. Adam Schiff, HAKEEM, Jeffries, Elise Slotkin, all the ones on television today. Hey, so we believe that the no men and women sports thing, let's let them handle it at the local level. He found out where their pain point was. The polls started coming out and it became 80-20, 90-10 issue. Push it hard. Here's what I want. I don't want these people in women's sports. Here's my executive order. So he's sitting there just pounding them. And in the same time, letting the nation know, I am not going to allow this. You don't want it, do you? The girl keeps getting smashed in her face. Hey, here she is at the State of the Union. Oh my God, she recovered. She does a speech. And today, you can go rewind it. It's all over X. The Democrat new narrative is like, maybe at the federal level, we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe we'll let the local level handle it. But just last week, you guys were okay with it, right? Just literally last week, you're like, hey, no, this is a federal. We got to let them go. We can let it happen. And Trump pummeled you in the State of the Union, joint address, whatever you want to call it, and got it so public it became a 90-10 issue where 90% of Americans, which obviously includes a lot of Democrats, said, oh, we ain't down with this. And so what did they do today? Complete capitulation. They waved the white flag. He applied the pressure he needed. He kept the pressure tight. He kept tweaking it. Mentioned it at the State of the Union joint address, brought the woman out who got smashed in the face, helped promote videos showing boys hurting girls in these races and basketball. And sure enough, today, President Trump, they didn't say President Trump was right. They just made a complete about face. We're just going to let the states handle it, okay? We'll let them. It's not going to be a federal issue anymore. Swear to God, you can go look it up. You can go look it up. Elise Slotkin, HAKEEM, Jeffries, who else said it? Like 3 or 4 of them. And I'm flipping through these interviews. I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh, they're all saying the exact same words, which means they got the memo. Oh, hey, people don't like this, do they? Nah. So we should stop. Yeah. All right. So it's a states issue right now.
At their theories on tax. You know, all my life I've watched politics. I've always liked it. I've watched it. I've participated, but from the standpoint of a donor. But I participated. And all my life I've watched politicians. We will cut your taxes. We will cut your taxes. These people say we're going to raise your taxes. This is the only time. It's never said. I've never heard it. They say it even if they don't mean it. We will cut your taxes. These people say that we're going to give you the biggest tax increase you've ever had. And that's what they're running on. And I tell Republicans, take that night, because that was a great night. You got record ratings. You saw that. The highest rated speech, like ever of its kind. Take that night and run your midterms on it and show us I'm talking about some young child with cancer or some young, beautiful girl like Laken Riley, who was killed, and they don't get up, and they don't salute the mother who's there devastated. Nungary, they don't get up, and they don't salute the mother whose child was devastated. I mean, brutally killed. The young boy with cancer that wants to be a cop, and they don't get up and salute that child. They not only don't get up, they're angry. And the only thing that happened that was interesting really about it was that when I mentioned Ukraine and people being killed, they started clapping. And that clap was led by Pocahontas.
I saw what you said, and I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget, I made the deal with China on a farmer's where they had to buy $50 billion worth of product. $50 billion from 15 to 50.
Did they
and it was
follow
great.
up and do it?
They did it when I was president. What happened is when Biden was president, they didn't buy any longer. Yeah, because there was nobody to call them. I used to call President Xi. I said, you got to do me a favor. You got to, live up to that agreement. And he was great. He did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman.
I had to break in because we got a little bit of breaking news. Talking about how Donald Trump is always under attack and people are trying to take him out. This just got released literally, how long ago? Let's see, an hour ago. U.S. fighter jets just intercepted an aircraft over Trump's Mar-a-Lago area in Palm Beach, Florida. He's here until like 5 or 6. It says NORAD intercepts aircraft violating a TFR, temporary flight restriction over Palm Beach, Florida. You guys can read it too. F-16 fighter aircraft from the continental U.S. NORAD region responded to a general aviation aircraft over Palm Beach on March 9th. The civilian aircraft violated the TFR at approximately 1:15. The aircraft was escorted out of the area by NORAD aircraft. During the intercept, the NORAD aircraft dispensed flares, which may have been visible to the public. The flares were used to draw attention from or communicate with the pilot. Flares are employed with the highest regard for safety, burn out quickly and completely, and pose no danger to the people on the ground. So should the pilot of an aircraft happen to find itself intercepted by one of the fighters or helicopters, they should immediately come up on frequency 1215-2430 and turn around to reverse course until receiving additional instructions on one of those frequencies. NORAD employs a layered defense, and it just talks about since January 20th, NORAD has responded to over 20 tracks of interest entering the Palm Beach, Florida area. Air crews are reminded to verify all NOTAMs, especially in the Mar-a-Lago area. So once again, he's been seemingly threatened. Could have just been a bad pilot, not knowing what they're doing, but just something else to think about. What this guy is having to go through on a constant basis. Let me continue.
Successful real estate executive, and a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness, not much.
You said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous foundation. Everything's been taken away. We don't make ships anymore. We don't, you just saw one of the biggest shipbuilders in the world, one of the biggest shipping people in the whole world.
In the Oval Office with you.
In the Oval Office. He's announcing a $20 billion investment in the United States, which he would have never done except for this. But look at this. Honda, Toyota, they're all coming in. You take a look at what's happening. The chip maker, the greatest chipper, Mr. Wei, the biggest in the world by far, is going to spend $200 billion on making a massive plant to make chips.
So that's your message? Build it here?
Build it here, there's no tariff.
Yeah. The public companies want to make sure that we have clarity. After April 2nd, when those reciprocal tariffs go in, is that it? Are you going to change anything after that? Will we have clarity?
You'll have a lot, but we may go up with some tariffs.
She's trying to ask a question which she, like a typical, well, she's a good reporter. She asked it earlier and he kind of danced around it. She's asking it again. And he's letting her, well, we'll see. Because of what I told you earlier, the whole idea behind it, and it will cause some instability because I don't know how much pressure I am going to apply. I don't know what it's going to take to get these people to bend to my will. They will. There's no doubt that both Canada and Mexico are going to bend and succumb. That's a foregone conclusion as well. I just don't know how much I'm going to have to keep turning it up. Am I going to have to go to 8.5, 8 3/4, 9? What's that number I'm going to have to do? And right now, those of you in the stock market, you're going to have to figure out, just watch what happens. And I'm telling you, it's going to get worse. You know why it's going to get worse? This was just reported 2 hours ago. Talk about volatility. What do you think is going to happen now? Canada to select the replacement for Justin Trudeau later today, per the New York Times. So in the midst of all these tariffs, in the midst of the stock market going a little bit wonky, now today, sometime this afternoon, Canada's going to throw in another piece into the mix here. They're going to announce a new president, or what do you call it, prime minister, who's going to have to then also start dealing with this stuff. And if it's the crazy lady, Cynthia, or whatever her name is, or is it going to be the other guy? Who is going to be the new president of Canada? Prime Minister. So, Maria, I can't tell you right now what's going to happen because I don't know. Now, if she asked him another question, if she just flat out said, do you think you are going to get your way with Mexico and Canada? I guarantee he would say, yeah, I'm going to get my way. We're going to win it. But where I have to do to make them win, to make us win, I can't tell you right now. I just don't know. It's not like he's hitting a button and dropping a nuke. He's messing with their economy, and he's tweaking it, which is causing other people to freak out. Woosah. Watch what happens. Look who's crying. Look who looks confident. He doesn't look like he's worried. Why? Because it's already been ordained. He's going to win. You're the American president. That's why I don't understand when people start freaking out. I'm like, you understand it's already going to happen. I mean, I went to church today, and the pastor was talking about Ephesians 6:17. And he was like, take up the armor of God and understand you are already ordained to win. And I thought to myself, yeah, Canada and Mexico can't win this. You have to think to yourself, whatever's happening on the battlefield of economies right now, economics, it's already known who's going to win. And when you look at it from that perspective and you say to yourself, oh yeah, we got this. We just don't know where it's going to be until they succumb. They will wave the white flag. There's no doubt about that. So if everybody knows Canada and Mexico are going to go, all right, I've had enough, tapped out. And if you just understand that, then you know it's an when, not an if. That's a big thing to know.
Depends. We may go up. I don't think we'll go down, but we may go up. But they have plenty of clarity. They just use that. That's like almost a soundbite. They always say that. We want clarity. Look, our country's been ripped off for many decades, for many, many decades, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore.
On the tariffs, what are the automakers going to do?
Maria, there's your answer. I'm going to get what I want. We're not going to be ripped off anymore. If I have to take it to the limit, I'll take it to the limit. Tell your friends who own stock, strap in. It might get bumpy, but we're going to be okay on the other side. And I don't understand why people don't understand that.
Do for a month? I mean, you say you wanted to help American automakers.
Yeah, I did.
You spoke with the three.
It's a transition period.
Okay.
And it's a transition into April. And after that, I'm not doing this. I mean, I told them, I said, look, I'm going to do it this one time, but after that, I'm not doing it. They called me and they wanted help during this little transition period, and I gave it to them.
Coming up, smackdown in the Oval Office. President Trump on Ukraine, Zelensky, Europe, and the two wars that President Trump is trying to end. Next. Back to what happened in the Oval Office the other day. I call it a smackdown of Zelensky. It looked really rough, but then again, at the end of the day, you may have your deal back. So is that all the art of the deal? What specifically ticked you off?
Well, you know, he was able to, it was like taking candy from a baby, what he did. He's a smart guy.
I heard that and I thought to myself, don't y'all get this? This man looked at the leader of another country and he's like, it's like taking candy from a baby. If you ever heard your opponent say something like that, put your Depends on, stuff it with extra diapers because he's going to make you wet your pants. It's like taking candy from a baby. Oh, and I'm like, Maria, did you not hear the leader of the free world say that he spanked this man so bad it's like taking candy from a baby? And I've been telling y'all ever since it happened, the deal they had before, it don't exist. So now, come on. you took your spanking, now I'm going to show you a real spanking. Because this that you thought you had, that's gone. Here's your new deal. Bend over and take it. And say, who's your daddy? Because it's like taking candy from a baby. A president said that. And she didn't jump all over it. I was amazed.
And he's a tough guy. And he took money out of this country under Biden like candy from a baby. It was so easy with that same attitude. And I just don't think he's grateful. We gave him, in my opinion, $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. We gave him $350 billion, and he's talking about the fact that they have fought, and there's a bravery because somebody has to use the weapons. But without those weapons, don't forget, I was the one that gave him the javelins that was able to knock down all the tanks. Obama gave nothing. Look, if I were president, that would have never happened. You wouldn't have had Russia going into Ukraine. You wouldn't have had the whole situation with Hamas and October 7th would have never happened because Iran was broke. They had no money. They weren't giving it to Hamas or Hezbollah or anybody else. You would have never had the worst evacuation anyone's ever seen, which is Afghanistan, which was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And you know what else you wouldn't have had? You wouldn't have had inflation. We had record-setting inflation under Biden. It was a killer. It's one of the reasons I won the election.
But you may get it again with these tariffs, right? I mean, one CEO said to me, my input costs have already started to go up. I'm going to have to raise prices.
In the meantime, guess what? Interest rates are down for the last 3-4 days at good levels. I mean, you know, when you add interest rates, you're talking about it's gone down. I've been saying, let's get interest rates down. You know, nobody ever gets rich when the interest rates are high, because people can't borrow money. Interest rates are going down. You know what else is going down? What have I been trying to get down? Energy. Energy's going down. I'd love to see energy go down. You know, energy is really what caused it. They screwed up my energy. I had the most energy, and they screwed it up. Then they went back to it. It was going through the roof. They went back to some drilling, but it was gone. It was hopeless. It was lost. But energy's gone down and interest rates have gone up over the last week. That's a big thing. I love that.
Do you expect Zelensky to come back? Do you expect to do that rare earth minerals deal?
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll happen.
Are you sure there's the content that you think there is there? Because some people were questioning if, in fact, there is the, the titanium and the lithium, all those the rare earth minerals. You think it is rich with those
well,
things?
Well, I do. I mean, I've had it checked. By the best. It's very valuable. But with all that being said, Biden should have never put up $350 billion. He should have equalized with Europe. All he had to do is say, you got to stay even with us. They're in for 100. We're in for 350. How does that? And we have an ocean in between us, right? We're not in the danger that they are. They are in much greater danger, if you call it danger. He should have never done that. You know the other thing with Europe that bothers me? They've given Russia more money, by far, for buying their oil than they put into Ukraine. So they're paying all this money to Russia, and we're in there for $350 billion. Biden should have never done that.
I spoke with the president of Poland the other day. President Duda has great respect for you.
Yeah.
And I said to him, what if the U.S. walks away and stays away? Here's what he said. Without the United States, do you believe that Europe is capable of offering meaningful security to Ukraine?
I would like to believe it, but experience to date shows that this has not been the case. The entire history so far of the last 3 years of the war shows that without American support, Ukraine will not survive.
Are you comfortable with that? The fact that you walked away and Ukraine may not survive?
Well,
earlier when I said that, well, he said, like taking candy from a baby, he said it twice. In my interpretation, the first time he was talking about Zelensky, meaning getting the mineral deal. Then the second time he mentioned that taking the money from Biden was like taking candy for a baby. Now this question, the answer to this question pretty much tells you he knows he's taking candy from a baby. As I started earlier, I said to you, this country may not be able to survive without the United States. The gentleman that she was talking to in the cut-in, he said it. They can't survive without the United States. So if you know that you can't survive without the United States, that pretty much gives you the impetus to cut a deal, and a deal fast. Wouldn't you say?
Well, it may not survive anyway, but, we have some weaknesses with Russia. It takes two. Look, it was not going to happen, that war, and it happened. So now we're stuck with this mess. Think of what he stuck me with. Open borders where we have 21 million people came into our country, many of whom should not be here. Many are criminals. Many are criminals. Many murderers, drug dealers, drug lords. We got that. We have the whole mess with Israel on October 7th. We have all of the ramifications from the worst and dumbest withdrawal in history.
Both Ukraine and Israel were both attacked by aggressors. Is America treating both countries similarly? Are they treating the aggressors similarly?
I think so. Look, they're
Are
very
you favoring
different.
one over the other?
They're very different places, okay? Very, very different. You're talking about different levels of power. You're talking about different parts of the world. The Middle East has been under attack forever. It's been, you look, when wasn't it under attack? And then we came along and did the Abraham Accords, which was unheard of.
Have you been as tough on Russia as you've been on Hamas? I mean, what do you want to say to
Well,
critics?
I've been much tougher because I haven't done to Hamas. That's been Israel that has to do to Hamas. But Israel does tell me what's going on. I think I've been very tough to Russia. Tougher than anybody's ever been to Russia, if you think about it. First of all, we had the Russia hoax, which was a very bad thing, could have led to a war. And that was started by Schiff and all these lowlifes.
I know.
They're total lowlifes. And it was a fake deal, the 51 intelligence agencies. I took all their passes away. They can't participate anymore. These guys know it came from Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, which came from his bathroom and or his bedroom, okay? Not a pretty sight. But this was a Hunter Biden thing. They said it was from Russia. No, I've been very tough. Remember this, I'm the one that stopped the Russian pipeline, Nord Stream 2. I stopped it. Biden came in and he approved it. I'm the one that put sanctions on Russia. I'm the one that gave the javelins against Russia. No, I've been very tough, but I got along well with Putin. And because I got along well, they say, he's so... Nobody's ever been... Putin would be the first to say it. Nobody's been tougher than Trump. And Biden hasn't been tough. Biden's done nothing. He was a weak, pathetic man.
So is there anything else you want to say to the critics who say you chose a side in the Ukraine-Russia story, and that's Russia? Because, you called Zelensky a dictator and you had the fight.
Nobody has been tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. Nobody. And they know that. They know that. Just look at the things I just told you. The pipeline, I stopped it. The biggest job they've ever done was the pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of it until I came along. They were building it happily. They were going to supply Germany and everybody else all over Europe. And what did I do? I stopped it. The biggest economic job they've ever had, I stopped it. Biden got in. On the second day, he approved it. He said, let it go forward. It was totally stopped. Just that one thing alone tells you everything. No, I was stopped. At the same time, I got along with Putin. I got along with Kim Jong-un. I got along with President Xi. But nobody was tougher, like on China, than I was.
And then there are reports now that Russia says it will help the United States negotiate a nuclear deal with Iran. What kind of a deal with Iran do you want to do? You said they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Well, there are two ways Iran can be handled, militarily or you make a deal. I would prefer to make a deal, because I'm not looking to hurt Iran. They're great people. I know so many Iranians from this country.
Well, not the leadership.
No, not the leadership.
The people.
They're very evil people. No, but the people of Iran are great people. But they had a tough regime, and they'd meet and they'd be shot in the streets. I mean, it was a tough deal. But I would rather negotiate a deal. I'm not sure that everybody agrees with me, but we can make a deal that would be just as good as if you won militarily. But the time is happening now. The time is coming up. Something's going to happen one way or the other. I hope that Iran, and I've written them a letter saying, I hope you're going to negotiate, because if we have to go in militarily, it's going to be a terrible thing for them.
You wrote a letter to the Khomeini?
Yes.
The leader? When did you send the letter?
Yesterday.
And you said you better negotiate, or we want you to negotiate?
I didn't say you better. I said,
Okay.
I hope you're going to negotiate, because it's going to be a lot better for Iran. And I think they want to get that letter. The other alternative is we have to do something, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
You said you wanted to do the Golden Dome. You've got a lot of ideas for America. But then earlier you said you wanted to cut $1 trillion in defense spending, right?
I didn't say I was.
You're not going to. So I was like, which is it? Are you cutting defense spending, or are you building us up?
I never said defense spending.
Okay, because I think you were talking about denuclearization,
Correct.
and that's where the cutting of the spending came in.
I never said cut. No, it's not in these days. I'd love to cut defense spending, but not now. Because you have China, you have Russia, you have a lot of problems out there. No.
In fact,
no, what I have said is we spend a lot of money on nuclear missiles, nuclear weapons. The level of destruction is beyond anything you can even imagine. It's just bad that everybody has to spend all this money on something that if it's used, it's probably the end of the world.
Wow. I don't know what to say to that.
You know, when I listen to these climate lunatics, and they talk about global warming, and they say the ocean's going to rise 1/8 of an inch in the next 300 years, and and nobody ever talks about nuclear weapons or some of the other things, but the nuclear weapons in particular right now. And they talk about the climate, and they talk about the dangers of the climate, but they don't talk about the dangers of a nuclear weapon, which could happen tomorrow. They say in 300 years, I watched Biden for years say the existential threat. He loved the term existential threat. Our greatest existential threat is from the climate. And I said, no. The greatest is sitting in shelves in various countries called nuclear weapons that are big monsters that can blow your heads off for miles and miles and miles. And they never mention that. China essentially had it. It was a China-based company. I'd much rather deal with BlackRock than a China-based company. And BlackRock is fine. I knew they were doing that. I was totally okay with it.
And when you go through the Panama
Makes it
Canal,
easier.
give
You
us a sense of how
Jimmy
China
Carter,
has dominated.
The Carter administration gave the Panama Canal for $1, gave the Panama Canal to Panama for no reason. They had a little demonstration of a few people, and he gave it. It's the most expensive thing we've ever built in the history of our country, relatively. In other words, if you bring it up in today's dollars. We lost 38,000 people to the mosquito and to snakes. Snakes are vicious. They had a very vicious snake. If you got bit, you were in big trouble.
Wow.
But mostly to mosquitoes, malaria. And we built this incredible thing, the eighth wonder of the world, right? You know, it connects two oceans, and one ocean is substantially higher than the other. Nobody knows that. That's why you have the locks. And the most incredible thing, and it does great. And we shouldn't have given it. We should have never given it. But we didn't give it to China. We gave it to Panama. And now Panama has gone out and essentially ceded it to China. And until they ripped all the signs down about a week ago, when they saw that I was serious about this, you know, most of the signs were written in Chinese. They were all Chinese all over the place. That wasn't the deal. We're taking the Panama Canal back.
So you're coming up, the Congress is doing this reconciliation package.
Yeah.
When you look at where the spending is, 76% of the spending going to the mandatory programs, don't you have to really cut into those mandatory programs in order to really make a dent? You say you're going to balance the budget.
Yeah,
you can't balance the budget just by DOGE cuts,
We're
right?
going to have growth like...
All right, so this I want to stop here because this is a real important segment. This is something you may want to write down the timestamp and clip it and just keep it on your computer to always send to your liberal nutty friends, as he's going to address right now the big elephant in the room that they all complain about: Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. He's going to tell you pure and simple, straight up, looks in the camera. Listen what he says.
Never seen before.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you said that.
We're going to have growth. I'm not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Now, we're going to get fraud out of there. You know, you see where I talk about it all the time, where you have people 250 years old and all, you know, tremendous fraud. But that has nothing to do with that. We're going to get the fraud out, and everybody wants us to get the fraud out, and therefore you'll make it better. But we're going to have tremendous growth. When you look at...
So that's the answer. That's it. That little 6 seconds, go ahead and clip it, write down the timestamp. That's it. Never answer that again. Every time you hear someone in the liberal media say it, oh, Trump's going to do away with Medicaid and Medicare and food stamps, and shut up. You're lying. Your people must be really stupid. Now he has said it again. I can't tell you how many times I've heard him say, no, we're not touching that stuff. Now you have a specific clip. She asked him a question. He answered it, no, we're not going to touch it. Case closed.
All of the car companies that are now coming into the United States, and they've been announcing, like on a daily basis, they're going to build their plants and they're going to create tremendous numbers of jobs and so many other things. And I'm doing something else that I think is very exciting. Maybe I'm wrong. A gold card. For $5 million, you buy a path to citizenship in this country. We'll see. I believe that Apple and all these companies that can't get people to come out of college and come because they get thrown out. Think of it. You graduate #1 at the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford, and you get thrown out of the country. You can't stay more than 1 day. And they want to hire these people, but they can't. They've complained to me about it. Now they can buy a gold card, and they can take that gold card and make it a part of their deal to get these top students. No different than an athlete, like a bonus. It's a signing bonus. And you're going to have a lot of people buy that. You're going to have a lot of companies buying gold cards. So for $5 million now, it's a lot of money when you add it up if we sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
If we don't, it's nothing ventured, nothing lost. But I think it's going to be very successful. You can't get a green card. A green card, this would be a green card on steroids. This would be much better than a green card.
How do you know the Chinese are not going to take advantage of it and exploit it? Didn't they do that with student visas?
They may, but they don't have to do that. They can do it in other ways.
Look, the Democrats say that Elon Musk and DOGE are overstepping their bounds. You're right. What's
one shocking or
We've had a great almost 6 weeks now. And you graduate much better than a green card.
How do you know the Chinese are not going to take advantage of it and exploit it? Didn't they do that with student visas?
They may, but they don't have to do that. They can do it in other ways.
Look, the Democrats say that Elon Musk and DOGE are overstepping their bounds. You're right. What Elon Musk and DOGE has been able to uncover is unbelievable. Half of us did not even realize.
And stop there.
It's
because look, stop there. You just said, what he's done is unbelievable. Now, you could then add some, but what about he's found hundreds of billions of dollars worth of fake contracts, and I read them, just a tiny portion of them, the other night. Transgender surgery on mice, hundreds of, the money they're spending on all of this stuff, the whole thing's a scam. And you'll find ultimately that the money that they sent comes back to a lot of the people that made those deals, okay? You're going to find that. What he's also done is made people realize how many people should be cut. Because normally you go in and you say, all right, cut 4% of your workforce. He said cut 50%, 60%, 70%. That's a big thing. Now, he's done a great job. And he's paying a price for it.
He said he
didn't
had
need
death
this.
threats.
He's paying a price for it, I guess. I don't know. He actually is a real patriot. This is something that's really not good for him, and yet he's doing it. But he's opened a lot of eyes.
On the reconciliation package and the tax extensions, you've got your New York and California lawmakers. They want the SALT deduction lifted.
Yeah.
It's at a limit of $10,000. Are you going to double it?
I'd love to see something happen on SALT. I'm the one that made the deal. Ronald Reagan tried like you have no idea to get what I got. I got Anwar and I got SALT. He couldn't get Anwar and he couldn't get SALT. I got SALT. But nobody knew how strong it would be. I'd like to see them give back some of that. Now, the reason, the two reasons, but the reason that people don't like it is because they don't have it, but everybody has it because it's a deduction. But I'd like to see a good portion of SALT be hit back. I'd like to see that. I also think it would have a big impact on the election, because I think you'd have a lot of congressmen get elected that maybe wouldn't get elected without it.
So is it a double? Is that right? To go to 20,000?
Well, there are 10 or so, and maybe they're trying to get it to 20, but I think that would be very good, yeah.
That was the interview he gave with Maria Bartiromo. The big thing you can see is that he's playing a chess match. Actually, he's playing an MMA match with Canada and Mexico. He's already got Zelensky with one hand out of the ring, ready to tap out. That's going to happen. How good of a deal is the only question at this point. There will be a deal, and it will be in America's favor. And it's just the only thing left is how big of a deal will it be? There won't be in Ukraine if he doesn't sign a deal. That's your alternative. Sign a deal with the United States, or this guy over here is your destiny. He's gonna basically make you do something you might not want to do, include take you out. So I can help you. He won't come after you if I'm in the way here, but sign this deal. And the longer you wait, the more people over in Ukraine are going to not be here anymore. Perfect position. Canada, you're about to have to change your prime minister. Justin Trudeau won't be here anymore. You're going to have a, I hope it's not that woman. I hope, what's her name? Christy something. She's Freeland. She's crazy. She's bat poop crazy. And you're going to have her trying to negotiate with President Trump. It ain't going to happen. It's just a matter of time before you guys tap out. The lady down in Mexico, Scheinblum, whatever her name is, same thing. You're not going to win. We already know who's going to win these battles. I can't tell you when. I can't tell you how painful it's going to be, as Trump is saying, but we're going to win. So if you are an investor and you're looking at this, don't look at what's in front of you. Look, again, as we've said, skate where the puck is going to be. I know in X amount of time, can't really determine it, I would say 3 months, we're going to see a whole bunch of changes. We are going to see that these two countries and Ukraine are going to buckle under. I don't understand why people are freaking out. Why would you freak out on a day-to-day basis when you know what the end result is? So maybe shift your stuff into a longer-term hold instead of dealing with the stuff on a short term. Maybe buy some gold. I don't know. Look at where things are headed. Right now, as you can tell, you can imagine the volatility in the stock market, what goes up and down all the time, and what seems to be, a steadfast hedge against the craziness going on in the world. So when we get back, I'm going to go with the 10, but right now I want you to listen about something that could help you with, what's going on in the rest of the world. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, and with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time. And although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, everybody. Want to show you again. I love this thing. This is from Patriot Addict. It's the red Trump knife. Many of you guys have seen this. I've shown you it many a times. It comes in this nice box here. And let me take it out. Boom. It's a heavy knife. Really heavy knife. This is the Trump knife. Trump. It's got a seat belt that you can go ahead and basically cut a seatbelt if you're stuck in a car. It's got the window pokey thing here. You can break a window if you're stuck. And then, of course, you've got the actual blade. This is a very weighty knife. It's not light whatsoever. Quite sharp. Can't really bend it. I mean, I'm a big guy. If I could bend this, I would bend it and show it to you. I wouldn't even be talking to you about it, except so many people here in the audience have said they've gotten theirs and they've loved it. Showing you the size of this thing. It's a big knife. Want to tell you something about ordering this knife. The knife is free. Absolutely free. The only thing that they ask you to do is pay a shipping charge of $13.99. You can go ahead and order it by clicking on the QR code right there. For those of you guys who can't get access to the QR code, Ashley is talking to them about getting an actual link that I can put on the screen, which I will do as soon as I get it. And I did get an email from somebody 2 days ago. And one of the people who talked about getting the knife, they got their knife, they wanted to do it, they went to the QR code and they basically ordered it, got their knife. But then they emailed me and said, hey, after I got the knife, a whole bunch of stuff popped up on the screen, and they were trying to sell me, in his words, a whole bunch of crap. Well, if you want the knife, get the knife. It's free. But this is a company that also has other products. And what you were seeing on the screen is what's commonly called in e-commerce as an upsell. It's like, hey, if you like the knife, well, then you might like the hat. And if you like the hat, then you might like the t-shirt, and so on. It's not crap. I mean, I have the hat right here. Let me pull up the hat. There's the hat. I could put the hat on right now. See? Boom. There's the hat. So it's just other stuff. They're giving away the knife. It's a beautiful knife, and if you like it, go ahead and order it. It's free. They're saying it's a $70 value. I've heard some people say they willingly pay that, but it's only $13.99. And the other stuff that pops up is that that's called doing business. I mean, seriously, that's all that is. Doing business. All right, that being said, let's continue with the show. So what I saw today, or just a little while ago, we talked about all the NGOs, and I said how some of these countries might not be countries, and we may just be floating the money to them. Elon Musk, how long ago was this? Last night, Insurrection Barbie, which is not a Barbie, he's really good in their stuff, says, if we eliminated NGOs, like 70% of our problems would disappear. And Elon says, great idea. As we were talking, the Data Republican did an interview here. And in this interview, she said, one of the things she says is 7,000 politically connected NGOs are getting 90% of all of the money meant for nonprofits. Roughly $300 billion in government money flows to nonprofits every year with zero transparency on where that money goes. NGOs are a scam. So I've got this video that I pulled here, and I want you guys to take a listen to this because it's really interesting.
What's one shocking or underreported piece of data that you have uncovered that more people need to know about?
There is around 7,000 NGOs that collect around 90% of taxpayer finances. We pay around $300 billion in government money for nonprofits. And that is a huge percentage of our federal budget. And it's not directly for the military or health or security. And we just don't have any visibility into that. We have no transparency. We cannot see who takes that money, and it's important that we find out.
Absolutely agree with you. In your view, what's the biggest lie that the American public has been told, and what data do we have that proves that?
So most people believe that there's two separate political parties, right? The Democrats and the Republicans, but that is not true. Especially when you see that all of the politicians sit on the same boards of these NGOs.
That's a problem. That is a huge problem. And that is probably the reason why this thing is so hard to solve. At this point, a lot of our government would cease to exist when all this stuff gets exposed. That's why there's not a whole lot of Republicans screaming about this, because some of them are as guilty as their Democrat colleagues. And the data Republican who's starting to dig in with Big Balls and some of these other people, that's why she's had to move and get extra security. Because now we're finding out, oh, this is really, really, really bad. They're stealing from you, from me. They're stealing. They've been stealing. And it's both parties. That's how they get into office and end up being filthy rich. They're getting their kickbacks.
So if the Republicans and the Democrats actually disagree, shouldn't they sit on the same boards? But no, they don't. They share the same board. They share the same money. And they often have names like freedom, peace, democracies, all of that.
So what you're describing really is like a Uni-party that is functioning, a Uni-party and a shadow government that's
Exactly.
functioning through these NGOs and this funnel of money.
Yes, exactly that.
Well, it's a new day in America and a new
So, how do we fix this? How do we get to a point where we still have a functioning government and we expose all of this? Now you know why Trump is in trouble. Seems like he doesn't constantly moving his plans, never goes live when he's supposed to go live, wants a direct line to Kash Patel, all these things. People are in the government, the seedy ones in the FBI and Department of Justice who are fighting back, protecting the same scumbags who are on supposedly our side. And so right now it's got to be a point where he has to wonder, who is it we can trust? And maybe that's why he's got so many Republicans coalescing behind him, because they now know, hey, he knows everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of these judges ended up getting carted away. They know everything. If they, I mean, you know, if you've taken money. So, man, good luck with that. This is going to get really bad. All right, with that being said, let's wrap things up and go through 10 stories. But understand some of these stories are a little bit longer than usual because, oh my gosh, I got some stuff to show you.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
So for the person who's watching,
Yes.
who just heard you say Donald Trump is not standing up for Ukraine, what do you say to the person who says, well, I don't care about Ukraine. I want Donald Trump to stand up for America. What do you say to them?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, I don't have time for it.
Yes, but we hear it. We hear it.
Here's the thing. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up in a place where you thought the Russians were the good guys? What part of America did you grow up in where they taught you the Russians were the good guys and our allies were the bad guys? That's the flip here that we need to continue to remind people. The Russians are the bad guys. They're raping women. They're killing children. They're bombing cities. The Ukrainians are the noble good guys. In some ways, they're more American than we are over the last.
These people are frantic, foaming at the mouth, frantic. The Ukrainians are like Americans. And the Russians, you know, they're doing this and doing. Let me ask you a question. I posted this earlier on X. The Democrats have done more damage to Americans than the Russians have. And I said, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Tell me how the Russians have done worse to Americans than Democrats. And you can't. You can't possibly. They created this boogeyman. And they stuck him in our closet, in our schools. You guys remember he had to get under the desk and worry about the air raids and all this stuff. And, you know, Rob and I were driving the other day. She goes, remember we had to do all that stupid stuff? Why are we under the desk right now? Oh, it's in case they drop a bomb. So if they drop a bomb on us, that desk up there is going to keep us safe? Or was it just indoctrination? Oh, yeah, get under your desk. And here's your rations. There's some crackers, you know, what? If the bomb is going to drop, you're not going to need the desk or the crackers. The boogeyman had to exist.
Couple of years. And we must stand with them in the same way we stood with the Allies in World War II and since this country was founded. This is not just about Ukraine. This is about the core and the integrity of American values. And that's what he's also betraying. Not just Ukraine, he's betraying American values.
That's what I was hoping.
Can they vote in Ukraine? I'm pretty sure you can't vote in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure this, you know, American value saving democracy thing, you forget to tell people he suspended elections. Nobody can vote in Ukraine. How is that like America? How is that saving democracy? But they never mention it. Tell me if you've ever heard one of these stations like MSNBC, CNN, and whatever, do they talk about the fact that the Ukrainians can't vote? Then you could tell me, you know, about America.
You would get at, because this isn't just about Ukraine, this is about Russia.
Yeah.
And don't we need to remind the American people that they are the bad guy?
Number 9.
One of your colleagues, Steve Cohen, said in this really interesting Politico article today, which was sort of about the ins and outs of Congress, he believes that it's not just the eggs that lost Democrats the election. He said, actually, I think people have eggs for brains if they think that's the case. He said it's not just an issue of the economy, meaning it's the culture war issues. It's the issues like this one that Gavin Newsom is talking about. So as you know, how do you think, genuinely, how do you think Democrats need to be approaching these issues that I think a lot of Americans look at how they are approaching and they don't agree with them on it?
Brianna, I don't shrink back from this issue to anyone. I'm a vice chair of the Equality Caucus in Congress and on the board of the Equality PAC. I have one of the largest LGBTQ plus populations in the country. So we have to stand on principle and make sure that everyone is treated equally. I'm not shrinking away from this issue. I'm leaning in to the notion that those issues were something that Republicans manufactured as if that was where the number one priority of Democrats was, when instead.
If it was manufactured, how is it a 90-10 issue? Your other compadres there, they got the memo this morning. You didn't get it. You missed it completely. If it's a manufactured issue, tell Americans why 90% of them don't want boys playing girl sports.
But what we needed to be leaning into is focusing on making sure that the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of housing and insurance and healthcare, which is what my constituents are talking to me about every day. I don't get questions about the LGBTQ plus issues more than I get them about people's everyday affordability issues. And
you know why she doesn't get questions about LGBTQ issues? Because there's no issues down here in South Florida. Her district is here in Miami. And I don't know if any of y'all been to South Beach lately, or there's a small town in Broward called Wilton Manors. There's no problem with life down here. They can do whatever they want. They're prosperous as well. So they're making money. Two income households. There is no problem with it down here. There's nobody telling you can't come in this restaurant. So in terms of manufactured, the one thing even the gay people don't want to see is people, playing crossover sports. They don't want it. It is a dead issue. And so that's why she doesn't hear anybody talking down here, because it's all about the economy. How do you make more money?
that's where Republicans are falling dramatically short. Donald Trump isn't living up to his promises, and we're going to hold their feet to the fire. And we have to make sure that we pass a budget that is going to ensure that we can bring people's costs down, that we can ensure that taking care of people's wellness and health and protecting our seniors and their Medicare and the vulnerable who need Medicaid. Half the country's children get their health care from Medicaid.
Wait. Half the country's children are on Medicaid. I don't know if that's true. I'm going to have to look that up. When I heard that, I was like, wait, Grok, is that true? And if it's true, we got a bigger problem, Debbie. If half of our country's children have to be covered by Medicaid, you got a whole other problem you're not telling people about. That is a huge problem. Them being on Medicaid isn't the problem. There's another reason why these kids, if there's that many children on Medicaid, that's causing that. And none of you guys in the Democrat Party ever want to address, the big picture problem. Why are these kids on Medicaid? Who are their parents? What are their parents doing? Yeah, you might want to address that, Debbie.
The spotlight that we need to focus, and Republicans need to be held accountable for their willingness to be slashing those vital services in favor of tax cuts for millionaires, billionaires, and corporations.
What tax cuts are they cutting? Again, you heard President Trump right out of his mouth. They're not cutting that. They're not cutting benefits whatsoever. The Democrats have to convince their stupid population that that's what's happening. They have to gaslight them, because if they told the truth, they'd be like, well, we're good then. We're good with Trump.
Number 8.
We're joined to...
Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the cringe portion of the program. As you're watching this, understand this guy used to be the former director of the National Institute of Health. And he's at a protest. And at this protest, for some reason, the Democrats want to dance and sing. Even if they can't dance and sing. So enjoy the former, thankfully, director of the NIH.
Together by this noble dream. Have you got that? So it's just all the good people, but the second line, part of this family, and the last line, we're joined together by this noble dream. Do that with me. This is a song for all the good people. Come on. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble dream.
It's from my first album, Breaking Your Eardrums.
Well, this is a song for all of those dreamers. We're looking for answers to come our way. Scientists, doctors, students, all seekers, we share in the hopes for a much brighter.
Come on, where's the lighters? Put the lighters up, lighters. They don't do lighters anymore. Put up your cell phone in the audience. Put your cell phone up. This is first-rate comedy.
Come on now. Well, this is a song for all the good people. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble
Number.
These commies were entrenched in government. Oh, this was their time. They were going to take over America and make you quite sorry for it.
7.
But it didn't unite them all, because 10 Democrats voted to censure Greene.
Wow. Do you want a list of the 10?
Do you want to hear their names?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Why go after them, too? Go after the Republicans.
Because they don't know how to fight and be part of an opposition party. Representative Greene.
I told you it was no longer the Democrat Party. I told you they should just rip the D off, put the big O. They are the opposition party. They want to do nothing for America. Nothing whatsoever. They are the opposition.
Gave them the example. The Democrats are not meeting the moment. It is very clear that Medicaid is on the table. It is very clear that Social Security is on the table. It is very clear that people will die. The baby boomers, the civil rights generation, they knew what they had to do. They were willing to fight and die for their rights. This generation of Congress, they are not meeting the moment. This is an existential crisis.
From the most liberal states like New York, Hawaii, California.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
Okay,
they should have all walked out with him.
Numbers.
Well, you see what's coming. They're not happy. There's not enough disturbance, not enough chaos. We need to take this protest to a whole other level. I can only hope, and you can only hope, that they continue doing this to 2026. Please, by all means, bring the guitarist out, bring out the crazies, do whatever you need to show people how nutty you are.
6.
Listen, I've been on the battlefield for a long time, and I'm not leaving until they put me in the grave. Whatever it takes, however long it takes. I think there was a little piece that we're having, the crossing of the Edmund Pettus Bridge that we do when we remember John Lewis, who was standing on that bridge when he was 23 years old, who knew he was going to get hit, by that sheriff in the face with his little backpack on and his trench coat. And he stood there and he took it because it was really important.
He's talking about something that had happened, what, 40 years ago? These people they just love the civil rights era. They love the fact that, the black peoples was standing on bridges and getting hit by cops.
In that moment. And we are hearkening back to a time that was very, very dangerous in this country, and people have to stand up to it. Donald Trump is a traitor to this country. Donald Trump is really sucking up to dictators across the world. He is taking us down a path that is not good for the country. And even if there are some people who are going to do better, the bigger picture of all of this, the stability of who we are as a people, is really being challenged. And we're going to have to find ourselves again. It may take a long time. A lot of people might get hurt. It doesn't feel real good. People are uncertain and a little bit disoriented about the direction that we're going in, because we are right to expect more from our president of the United States. But so far, Donald Trump has delivered exactly what he said he was going to deliver: chaos, calumny, lack of concern for.
I did every single rally. I'm confused. He never said that to me. I don't think y'all heard that he wanted to deliver chaos. And by the way, what did you mean by a lot of people are going to get hurt? Tell me exactly what you mean. Well, you're gonna have an uprising and a lot of people are going to get hurt. Okay.
Regular folks, and he's taking this country in the wrong direction. And I'm hoping Americans will, step up over time.
I really appreciate both of you and your candor today. I needed that.
Number 5.
Don't you find it interesting that he did not mention Medicaid once?
That's because he's not taking Medicaid.
This is a massive political vulnerability. We're going to take all of this out of Medicaid, and then we're going to move it over here, give this much to billionaires. They are afraid of this. I'm telling you. If they...
As you watch this stuff, which I hope, I sit through it so I can bring it to you. I got to put a laugh track on here. I want you to imagine how stupid you must have to be to watch this and think you're being told the truth. How do Democrats sit around and go, yeah, fight the power? What's the other one? Speak truth to power. And they're hearing bat poop crazy people like this talk. It's incredible.
If they weren't afraid of it, they would continue to be hosting their town halls. If they weren't afraid of it, Trump would have said something.
Number 4.
It got more cringy from there when several congresswomen appeared in this.
How bad is it, as we continue through Crazy Town, how bad is it when CNN calls out the Democrats and goes, you shouldn't do this?
This influencer's video. No.
Choose your fighter. Choose your fighter. And I get a punch. And I had to cut the music because it's copyrighted. But, I wanted to go here and play in box. And, I don't know what she's doing. And that crazy woman. Oh, wow. Ooh, yeah, sure.
So, look, I mean...
That was not fair. We can't be that bad. That makes the whole place look
that bad. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, nobody asked for that in particular. And I also just think it's like you start with all the chaos of the different responses at the joint address, and then you have this like super sober Elisa Slotkin response, and then a couple of days of just all this random social media.
They clearly don't have an idea of what to do. They have had at least months to prepare, at least since the election, to start preparing. This is weak. This is not the way we should be responding. This does not give the country any confidence that there is an opposition to this. I actually think Al Green had the right idea. If we think that he's a dictator and we're moving in an authoritarian direction, then we should be standing up. But then to have Democrats vote to censure him for shame, as if their civility is more important than standing up to a dictator?
So the
the crazy train is going off the rails with these people. They don't know left from right, up from down. They're completely lost. They're adrift, and they can't figure out what the hell to do. and they think that they need. You heard the guy with the big glasses and the messed up hair, like he said, "Oh, we should have more people uprising." They don't. They're so devoid of thought. The only thing that they're leaning on now is like, can somebody go do something in the street? can you fight? Who are you fighting? What are you gonna fight? I think if you screw up, this guy also controls the FBI and the DOJ, so might not be a good idea. These people are nuts.
Or 3.
So, Molly, what David raises is an absolute correct point in terms of the strategic effort by the Trump administration to reorder things. So that raises up a counter question, Alexis. So how's...
My bad, I forgot to enlarge it, but so I'll skip this one. I thought I had put it in and enlarged it, but basically what happened in that cut is they were talking about how the reason why things are bad the way they are right now is because there's nobody in the media sticking up for them. That Republicans at this point have taken all of the media and changed it into changed it into something that shouldn't be anymore. That's what they're saying. I had to fast forward that to the next one because it was too small. So let's take this.
Number 1.
So, Arnie, on Tuesday night at the joint address before Congress.
Is there only one optometrist in where they go? I mean, seriously. Is it the uniform? Do you go in and say, give me the Rachel Maddow? Give me the Mark Cuban? Because something's wrong. They all show up wearing the same crazy ass glasses. So walking into a room, you see somebody look like you walk into a business meeting and you see someone with those glasses, call it a day. I'm good. I'm going to go back to my desk, okay? Because I ain't got nothing for you.
The president claimed to have a mandate for this government rationalization that he's and his administration have embarked upon. Most Americans thought that this previous election was about the price of eggs or other economic issues. Do any of them have...
Most Americans thought this... Most Americans thought this election was about the price of eggs. Obviously, y'all weren't paying attention to anything before November 5th. Maybe rewind your own network. Go look at your archives and see what the top 5 issues were. And when you get there, tell me if those top 5 issues was price of eggs. I'm pretty sure, arguably, number 1 was newcomers. Stop the newcomer stuff. And yes, pricing overall, but nobody was raising hands talking about the price of eggs. You know why? Because you didn't start killing them until after the election. See, that's one thing they won't tell you. It wasn't until after the election that they go on their killing spree and decided, hey, well, he's coming in. Let's really sandbag him. Let's kill all the chickens. So, no, it wasn't an issue that Trump ran on.
Any idea that these cuts that are intended to rationalize the government will actually have an impact on their children, on the way their children learn? And for those with children with special needs or learning disabilities or differences, how are they planning to accommodate these changes if they even understand that they're coming?
Well, there's so much that's so disturbing, but education should be the ultimate bipartisan or nonpartisan issue. There's nothing left to write about more kids having access to pre-K and raising reading test scores, which we desperately need to do, and more high school students going on to college and having that chance. What Trump has done is he's weaponized education. He's used it to divide. He attacks any 3-letter acronym, DEI, SEL, CRT, whatever it might be. And you can...
The fact that DEI, CLRT, and ABCD is the problem. Why have you people for decades been talking about education? Why has it never been a problem that's ever been solved? Why are these kids that you're talking about who are now in high school who can't read? Did you not notice that when they were in first and second and third and fourth grade? Did you not notice that when they were in junior high? What exactly has been the problem? It predates Trump. So this guy who was talking was, I think, Obama's Secretary of Education. What did you do back then? How did Johnny go from being in junior high to graduating high school and he can't read and becomes a ward of the state because he can't get a job, because he can't do anything? That's what your intention was. You see, your plan has come to fruition, and now you're worried because we want to start teaching kids, albeit a half a generation or more are completely lost. They're going to be the people hanging out the back of garbage trucks. They're going to be the people sweeping up the street because you people didn't do your jobs when these kids were in junior high. And now you're going to try and reteach them algebra? Good luck.
Lie to parents, you can lie to the public about a lot of things, but if you start taking away resources from their children, from their vulnerable children, children with special needs, 7.5 million across the country, poor children, they live in rural communities.
The poor people. I got a question, Arnie. If you start taking away things from the poor people's children, they're poor, right? I mean, that's who you're addressing, the poor people. Their kids wouldn't be in that situation if y'all didn't make them poor, if you didn't keep them poor, if you didn't keep the perpetuation of poorness, where you got kids raising kids who are poor. Dad's poor, grandma's poor, the kids are poor. And if you start taking stuff away from them, they're going to get mad. Okay, maybe they'll do something. Maybe they won't rely on your BS anymore.
Communities, they live in urban. Many of them vote Republican. Many of them vote Democrat. If you start taking away resources from Papa Bear, Mama Bear, watch out. He's going to really, really pay a huge price for doing that.
How about we teach Mama Bear and Papa Bear how to create their own damn resources? How about that? How about we make programs so that they become self-sufficient? How about that? No? Wouldn't that begin to take the poverty out of the school system, where the school system has to become Papa Bear and Mama Bear? Maybe we shouldn't be calling them Papa Bear and Mama Bear because it's School Bear that's taking care of these kids. You just call them the inseminator and the deliverer, and the rest of you guys are the Papa Bear. That's what you really wanted. You didn't expect, don't have any sort of idea on these people actually being parents. There's been nothing in the school system to promote being good parents. It's completely devoid of that. Everything has been taught to these people, and I don't mean that in a negative perspective, but they've been taught to rely on the government. Government is going to be here. Get your government cheese. You people have done so wrong to the black and poor community. It's criminal. Absolutely criminal. And it makes me sick to my stomach because every time I see these people, I was lucky. My dad and mom got me out of an area and said, you're big, you're going to play football. Go ahead. We're going to put him in prep school. Dad's construction company was doing good. And so I got out of that. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is really cool. Look, white people. And they like me. So I ended up being different, which some people didn't like. In any event, that's too bad. So last night I had some technical difficulties on Rumble, but I like using Rumble. It's a different platform as well as X and YouTube. It's just more opportunity to get the word out there and spread my videos. This sponsorship is from Rumble. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on, the jabademic, COVID. But they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive just with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most that I can ask from you and the most that they can ask for you. But if you really believe in this fight and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join a community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering 10% off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and you believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, well, I'm just happy that you're watching this video on whatever platform, especially if you're watching on Rumble. Yesterday I had it, the day before I had an issue, but we got that fixed, so everything is good. I'm going to take some comments, but before I do, I want to let you guys know about the hoodies tomorrow and also what you can do on X. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right. We got a big week planned ahead. As with every week that President Trump is doing things, let me just give you, before I head to the super chats here, let me just give you an update of what we have coming this week. Because Ashley has some good stuff coming. Let me do this. All right, now listen to this. She's got Kyle Seraphin tomorrow. Great interview. He's a federal whistleblower. Unbelievable. We've got Nancy Mace again on Tuesday. We've got Jaco Boyan on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I'm going to be doing day shows only because Ashley and the kids are in town. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you won't see me at night. We'll only be doing the day shows, but we have some great interviews Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I'm sure President Trump is going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then the 17th, we got General Michael Flynn coming, and when we do that, will be the launch of our 12 p.m. show every weekday, 12 o'clock every single day. All right, so let me read these super chats here. 1 second. All right, CR. Exactly. All these countries want us taxpayers to take care of them. I'm going to be starting to dig in myself to see where is this money going? Where exactly is this money going? And we'll probably never find it, but the Data Republican, she's putting out some stuff. It's incredible. It's absolutely 7,000 of these NGOs get 90% of the money. Tunamon, thank you very much. CR, we are paying for Canada's free health care. Kim Macaletti, these countries have our biolabs and missing children. Vielka Jackson, thank you. Vielka Jackson, again, Barry Zelensky already signed deal with UK. Yeah, they're going to end up voiding that. He's got to do it with America. Barry Canova, thank you. Planet Fatness. Barry live streams in tidy whities, we all know. Jeremiah Kerr, hey brother, we all have to realize about the E-files is that America needs to be able to digest the first stages of corruption before the disgusting, intricate understanding of how the deep state operates. Take the red pill. I couldn't have said that better. A lot of people, how can I say this? A lot of people think they want the Epstein files. They think they want it. But if you haven't gone through your boot camp, if you haven't gone through training to understand what may be in these files, I'm telling you, there's a whole lot of people out there who think they want them, but what they really want is just names. You don't want the files. You don't want to see the pictures. You don't want to see the videos. You won't be able to sleep. You will have to pray that somehow God takes these images and visions away from you. I mean, I've said it before. Back in the day when the people over in the Middle East were lopping off heads and stuff, and I called myself, hey, it's online, let me go check a look at it. And I clicked the button and watched the guy get decapitated, and I was like, oh my God, how do I get that out of my head? And Rob was like, you better pray. Just get it out of your head. Because there was like 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, I can't take it. All I can see is this guy having, and I had to pray about it because it was just awful, absolutely awful. So if you're gonna dig in, you better pray. Donna, why don't they arrest Omar or AOC for treason? So what Donna is talking about, I think this is what Donna is talking about. We found out, I think on Friday, that AOC's Deputy Director of Communications self-deported because we found out he was a newcomer and she hired him knowing who he was. So he flew the coop. Nikki East Esselman, I voted for Trump and I trust him. He has always been transparent. I have observed that if there is silence, something big is going on. Happens soon. We'll see arrest of big fish. Have faith. Absolutely. Dave the Patriot, Barry, we need faster arresting, like Homan speed. Notice he's even slowed down. I understand that they're having a hard time. All these people just left already. They're like playing whack-a-mole. You can't find them. Sherry Clem, Barry, thanks for all you do. I'm glad you remember not to show us your skivvies when you got up to let the dog out. I didn't say I was wearing skivvies. I could have shorts on. I'll leave you in suspense. Nikki Esselman, my husband received his kidney pancreas transplant on the 23rd. Oh, congratulations. We are just waiting for his kidney to wake up. We want to thank you for your prayers. He loves his hoodie. I pray the best for him, Nikki. Jeff, 26, we lost a bunch of business back in the mid-'80s and 90s to a lot of different countries for cheaper labor. He is trying to bring them back. Look what happens to automakers. Eric Schweitzer, people need to just relax and let things roll its course. There's more things that are high priority than those files. I'd rather have the terrorists and the traitors in our country taken care of first. Bingo. Mississippi, my favorite Barry moment was when he used the term horizontal bobbage to get us to use the YouTube algorithm. You remember that. Susan Elkins, I'm Canadian, very hurt by Americans laughing at us. We sympathized with the U.S. during the Biden fiasco and loved Trump. Now everything has gone to poo. Susan, let me be the first to tell you, I am not laughing at the Canadian people. It is an absolute travesty what Canadian government has done to the Canadian people. The Canadian people, I spent a lot of time in Montreal, had relatives who lived in Toronto. One of my best friends played football with the Montreal, I believe, Alouettes at one time. Montreal, we used to go up there. Nothing, never had a bad experience in Canada with the people. It's the government. Ronnie, blessings, Mary, Barry, mods, and patriots. You had made a great point. From this day forward, I'm not going to question Cash, Pam, or anyone in the intel agencies. President Trump has his priorities, and I trust him. And the other thing about his priorities, we don't know why they are his priorities. You see, one of the things I remember, and this is simplifying it, I remember playing football, and the first time we get there, and like, why is he running? Why, coach? They would, somebody would run in and say what the play is. I'm like, why the hell is he running this play? And we'd run the play. And we didn't know, on his chart, he's like, when we run this play, we want to see what happens here. And so we're going to come back here based upon what happens above. And then, that's when I first got into coaching and realized, oh, I understand what a game plan is now. The playbook is here, but the game plan is different. because this team may have a good linebacker, or this team may have a good wide receiver, and we want to do different things to get to the end. Well, President Trump, again, if you imagine that war room we're talking about, and he's like, I want to get there, but to get there, we got to go here, 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 over here before we get there. And so we have no idea what that is. We don't know who that is or what group of people that is, and we don't know who here on the bottom are the people we need to get to. He does. Let me continue. Jeremiah Kerr, bring down the price of diesel would drive down many inflammatory costs logistically and give Americans their breath back. Absolutely. Nancy Jennings, the untouchable is on. Reminds you of the Democrat Party sitting around that big table without the violence. It truly hits home, and Trump won't give up until justice is done. Along with what Jeremiah said, I'm going to quickly download a video that I posted that I want you guys to see. And at the same time as we're waiting, hopefully I can have this thing downloaded and we can talk about it. Yeah, I just found it. This is a very, very interesting video. Nicholas Lamonicus, Barry, thank you for these broadcasts. Much appreciated. Remember when Biden sent money to pay Ukraine Social Security? Crazy. Larry, just signed up for a lifetime subscription to Barry News Broadcasting Channel. Thank you. Redeem Patriot. Pray, plan, prepare, protect. Agreed. Daniel, love your show. Watch every day. Alberta, Canada is looking to join the U.S. for statehood. Talks to become the 51st state because, BC and Saskatchewan will follow suit. British Columbia. Fox News has reported. Hope for the best. What's going on with XRP? Investigate for us. I will. I'll do that and have it ready tomorrow. Thanks for showing us where to get in. But P.S. Grok has helped so much. I love it now. Haven't used Google since you taught us about X. You're welcome. And I thought that would happen to a lot of people. Captain Danny Barrow, that hat looks great on you, Barry. I love it. Thank you. Redeem Patriot, thank you, Barry, for making common sense common again. Thank you. Beaten cheeks. Indian prosecutors are after Gates for crimes against humanity. That might not be the last of his his problems either, because I'm pretty sure there's more. The sad part to all this, people believe all this. That's where you come in. I mean, you are going to have to get out there on X or wherever you run into these people and let them know that they're being lied to, and then show them how they're being lied to. Planet Fatness, why would a dictator have a House and a Senate? Sherry Lovesey, isn't it time that where am I here? Isn't it time that economics be brought back into the schools? So tired of these Democrats and their evil agenda. Thanks, Barry and mods, for all you do. Thank you. And you're right. Neo, thank you, Barry. Great show. SBAS owned by 11-year-olds getting $300 million. Yep. And Sheila Townsend. All right. Thank you. But before we go, I want to download this video and show it to you because a lot of you may not have seen it. And it, again, these are some of the things that are going on behind the scene that nobody ever sees, and the media simply won't talk about it. Let me bring it in here real quick. Oh, that's him. But hold on. Let me bring the video in. Okay. All right, hopefully. One second. One second. All right, I got it. I got it. And want you to see this. All right, so let's listen to this video together. It's very interesting. Where'd I put it? And if people tell you nothing is going on, this is how you can tell something's going on.
Hey guys, to all my Canadian friends out there, I love you guys. I respect you, you know. I really would hope you guys become a 51st state, but I need to show you guys something. While you guys are complaining about, oh, you're going to shut our oil and gas, we need you in the U.S., or all this stuff, you know. I want to show you what I'm doing right now in the Gulf of America, right? It's pretty serious. You guys need to understand that what's going on right now in America. Let's show you guys. See that right there? All those compass stands and stuff currently going out for Shell offshore, and I'm prepping 3 new sites for 19 new oil and gas wells that'll give us 300,000 more barrels a day. All this development will be finished by about 8 months. This is only one development happening in the Gulf of America. We have so many construction vessels coming to the Gulf of America right now to make some money, because we're doing what we have to do. We have oil and gas. We're not going to need anything from you guys by the end of 26. I'm sorry. It's just, while we become energy sufficient, you know, independent, we're putting hundreds of thousands of Americans to work over here for great rates, right? And we're going to lower our costs in the next 2 years, right? 2 years. So while you guys are arguing and doing this stuff, you guys are in a losing battle. I am so sorry. Good luck to you guys up there, but you're not going to win this. I'm sorry.
People are seeing it. You're not going to win this. You're not going to win. They're already beginning to drill. It's only a matter of time until they get it all put together and get up to capacity. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody's letting the American people or the world know, hey, he's drilling. He's getting ready. And then when he gets up there, it's going to be 200, 300,000 barrels a day. That's just on those rigs, not counting the other rigs they're going to put out there. He's going to go get that oil. Media won't talk about it. The media won't even mention that we could be hitting, I don't know, $2 gas just because we're going out there and getting it. It's actually crazy. Somebody asked what was the government website that had the news articles. The Department of Justice. Just go to DOJ website. It'll show up. LNG processing plants all over the Louisiana Gulf of America, and they're not talking about it. First term, we were self-sufficient, and we don't need any other country. That's what they don't want us to. They don't want the people here to understand. That's why they're screaming. That's why they're fighting, and they want to go have people run out in the streets because it's happening, but the media won't talk about it. I mean, who was the one lady who said they're out there? Gas is down in Pennsylvania. Media won't cover it. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Just hang on for it, and you're going to see it. All right, everybody. I appreciate you all tuning in on a Sunday when you could have done anything you want. I understand it's an hour ahead, so now it's 10 of 6 instead of 10 of 5. Whew, I can't get used to this stuff. But we got a lot of stuff coming this week. All kinds of different things we're going to be looking at. I'm sure President Trump's going to be crazy wild tomorrow and Tuesday. At the beginning of the week, he always is with executive orders and then press conferences. And thank you for joining us. We got a great slate of interviews coming up. And also, if you haven't noticed, in case you've missed some shows, so you don't have to sit through 2 or 3 hours, I've been posting snippets of some of the shows by themselves in terms of an on-demand side. So I've got the live side working. We've got the the other side working as well. And please feel free to check out those videos if you haven't seen those segments. All right, we'll be talking to you tomorrow. After Party is next.
Bye.